Mecklenburg County Air Quality, a government agency whose goal is to improve ambient air quality in the region and reduce exposure to unhealthy airborne pollutants, strives to maintain progress toward attainment of the national ambient air quality standards by limiting and reducing emissions. In 2007, Mecklenburg County Air Quality initiated an air pollution control program called GRADE, or Grants to Replace Aging Diesel Engines.
GRADE was developed because in Mecklenburg County, over 90% of the ozone-forming pollution comes from cars, trucks, and off-road equipment. When you start to look at solutions, regulatory requirements are not really an option at the local level. They're just not feasible, and voluntary programs aren't very effective. GRADE is an incentive-based program that produces real NOx reductions while benefiting businesses as well.
GRADE is a locally administered sub-grant reimbursement program modeled after programs in Texas and California. It originally focused on reducing off-road equipment diesel emissions in a 7-county area around Charlotte, North Carolina. It has since grown to cover 13 counties in both North and South Carolina. GRADE projects are operating in multiple sectors of the economy, from local government-owned landfills to logging, mining, transportation, and the construction industry, and now has expanded to aviation. All of the equipment operating in these sectors are powered by diesel engines ranging from small 25 horsepower engines to larger, more powerful on- and off-road engines.
When we hear about a call for projects, I'll go to the district manager, I'll go to our mechanical supervisor and ask them, are there pieces of equipment they would like to purchase? Are there pieces of equipment they'd like to get rid of?
Several key factors, when combined, make GRADE a successful diesel emission reduction strategy. Those factors are simple, easy-to-follow project applications, well-defined selection criteria, manageable contract requirements, and knowledgeable staff that can easily relate to a dynamic customer base.
We've had an interest in trying to reduce our fuel consumption, increase our efficiency, and also provide benefits to the communities that we operate large fleets of equipment with.
The GRADE program is simple to implement and easily managed with readily available spreadsheet and word processing software. Expensive, custom-developed computer database programs are not necessary to apply GRADE in a particular area. In fact, the GRADE program can be subdivided into 4 major programmatic elements. Those being application submittal, which, as the name implies, means to formally apply for a competitive sub-grant award by completing a 1-page project application that describes both the existing piece of equipment and the desired replacement piece of equipment. Project approval. Details such as engine horsepower, engine model year, and the annual operating hours are all very important parameters that must be considered when reviewing the project application for sub-grant award approval. Contract development. Once a project has been awarded GRADE funding, both the applicant and Mecklenburg County enter into a funding agreement that describes and outlines the terms of the grant award. Items such as the equipment operating hours, equipment operating locations within the 7 or 13 county non-attainment regions, and the ownership requirements are clearly defined before the project begins. Emission reporting is simply a means to collect and document the actual NOx emission reduction achieved during the life of the funding agreement. Semi-annually, each successful sub-grant project is required to report the equipment operating hours.
Once we get the contract, we'll review it. I'll have my district manager review it. I'll have our legal department review it, and we see that everything matches up and is aligned with the warranty and disposal of the piece of equipment and everything that we're required to do. We've had really no issues with our contracts. We dispose of the piece of equipment properly and fill out the proper forms for reimbursement, and we are good to go.
I think one of the most important things for an agency that's interested in starting a program like GRADE to consider is, do you have the staff time to devote to making this process as easy as possible for the applicants. Because one of the reasons GRADE has been so successful is our staff has taken the time to walk the applicants through every step of the process. We make the contract processing as easy as possible. We make sure that reimbursement is timely and try to clear up as much of the red tape as possible so that they have a good experience. And what we found is if the first project is successful, they'll come back and apply for a second project.
The most recent version of the GRADE diesel emission reduction program, known as AeroGrade, was introduced at Charlotte Douglas International Airport, located here in Charlotte, North Carolina. AeroGrade was developed to place more attention on the diesel emissions generated by more than 400 pieces of ground support equipment operating at the airport. These GSEs, as they're known, are bag tractors, belt loaders, tow tractors, pushback tractors, and lavatory carts. Typically, these pieces of equipment are powered by 40 to 50 horsepower diesel engines and operate long hours each day, every day.
The old diesel tractors, the shocks and the seats bounce a lot. They're a lot higher, harder to get in and out of, jump on and off. The electric tugs are lower to the ground, slide right in. At the same time, we would have normally been fueling up our tugs when they run out of gas. That's the time we plug these in. We just connect them to the charger and let them charge and we're done. A lot quicker process than taking the other tugs and filling them up with diesel.
With such a large volume of equipment operating for that length of time each day, it's easy to understand how important it is to help the airport with its air pollution reduction efforts. Converting a diesel-powered piece of ground support equipment to electric power is an extremely effective way to significantly reduce air pollution generated by GSEs operating at the airport.
We reviewed certain items that were related to an electric fleet, items such as reduced noise, the ability to enter and exit the vehicle at a lower level that makes it easier access in and out of the vehicle, and ultimately reduced injuries because employees are not having to jump into and out of vehicles in order to enter and exit. Those were all important items. On top of that, from the safety perspective, using electric vehicles, we have things such as speed control, which allows us to ensure that employees can't exceed speed limits. And in addition to that, these vehicles, the electric vehicles that we have looked at and have put into the operation, have actually very good turning radiuses. So when you're working in a real tight operation where you don't have a lot of room to maneuver around aircraft, having a tight turning radius basically allows us to effectively maneuver our ground equipment around aircraft with a decreased likelihood of actually causing an aircraft ground damage.
A more universal approach is to replace an older, more polluting diesel engine with a newer, less polluting diesel engine, commonly called repowering. This emission reduction approach requires a smaller capital investment and can be accomplished in a much shorter time frame.
I've done approximately 57 of these over the last few years. I think this is a very good engine package. It's been very efficient, very easy to install.
The engine repowering approach is as effective at reducing air pollution as the diesel to electric GSE replacements. A diesel to diesel repower can be a good option.
I live out in the country and I like the cleaner air, so this helps everyone in the long run.
The two-strategy GRADE program can supplement the emission reduction efforts of many public and private companies and organizations. These diesel emission reduction efforts can help improve local air quality and provide health benefits to employees and the general public alike.
GRADE is a very innovative program that can provide an opportunity for your agency to reach out to businesses to improve the quality of the air and just to generally support your community's vision to make it a place where people want to come to live, to work, and to recreate.